What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Rezolve AI. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what's moving, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Rezolve is pushing a little bit lower, down 4.85%, largely piggybacking off of the broader market's fears, largely coming from Powell and a lot of big companies unveiling their earnings. But 409 the low, 435 the high, and we're seeing very low volume. So 7.4 million shares being traded, and that's been more of a common occurrence with Rezolve, is just less and less volume. And whenever you have a stock that's somewhat heavily shorted and you have low volume, it's very easy for shorts to manipulate. No different than today. So at the time of doing this video, they are returning about 318,000 shares. But first thing, they were increasing around 2.2. So they hit it hard first thing, and then they just taper off, and that's it. So they do their damage first thing, and then they kind of are able to piggyback and return from all the fear. So especially, like I said, 7.5 million shares being traded. Shorts are making up as well a good chunk of today's volume. There has been news that did come out today, not official news, because looking right over here, they haven't done any official news since the 27th. Prior to that was on the 22nd. So they must be listening to some constructive criticism about PR blitzes, or potentially that lawsuit that did come out earlier this month. Maybe that really spooked them. But nonetheless, though, this right here did come out on social media. So they've been very active on social media, but not official news, if that kind of makes sense. So they put this out in the last 12 months. Myntra, if I'm saying that right, which is a very large Indian retailer, achieved a remarkable 35% year-over-year growth in image search traffic, specifically boosting conversions and revenue per user. So definitely good stuff. And this is something that was announced back in September, which you can kind of see right here. And clearly this does add to their ARR. So of course they did have very high expectations for 2026. I think a lot of that comes from this as well as Liverpool. But as I've mentioned in many videos, a lot of their actual current customers are not in the States. This is why they really do lean quite heavily on Tether, because that's their plan going into the States. So it'd be a little bit more advantageous if they just kind of went to Walmart, for instance, because I know Walmart did mention that they're going to be kind of doing a very similar thing to Rezolve, but that's a huge opportunity if Rezolve, their sales team, can actually do something and get, let's say, Target or whatever else. But yeah, it didn't sound like they were really planning on doing any of that from their last earnings. Rather, they really want to lean on Tether. So I think for them to enter the American market, it won't be coming anytime soon, in my opinion. And obviously, as I've mentioned, I always like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm not here to hype you up, nor am I here to bring you down. I'm just being fairly realistic overall. Aside from that, like I said, shorts are returning a little bit. 8.91% of the free float is being shorted. Works to be 13.87 million shares overall being shorted. Moving over to the options, 261,000 in calls, 51,000 in puts. So this matches with a very low common stock. So nobody's really doing Rezolve options right now. And 51% of all the options being done, though, are bearish in nature. Coming from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be above 450. So optimism has definitely gone down quite a lot. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 450 this week, $4 next week, and then $3.50 the following week. So they are anticipating for more of a further breakdown. So far, only 3 transactions on the secondary market above $100,000, 2 buys and then 1 sell. So ultimately, you're not really seeing institutions really buying the Rezolve dip. Rather, most of the volume is coming from algorithmic trading as well as shorts. So it is rather unfortunate. And all these transactions, on the side note, are very close to the kind of opening bell. So first thing, so like I said, big money is not really doing too much. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market, or sorry, the dark pool above $100,000. So even in this, you don't really see all that much. Right now with that 414, it is trading between this S1 and this S2. So 397 is going to be a strong support. 422 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. So Rezolve has really broken down on a technical standpoint quite a lot. And this is something, even when I was at like 550, I kind of mentioned like there was no real willing buyers. And you can see that from the market position right here. Even right now, as of today, there's pretty much a small amount of willing buyers up until around that 408. Conveniently, that seems to be the low where we did hit. So 409 is the low for today, but you're not really seeing that many people willing to line up to buy Rezolve. So it is rather unfortunate. So it is wedge bound right now between that 10-day moving average and that 100. So that 100 is 399. If it does break below that, then you pretty much have that 200-day moving average at 302. So that would be pretty damn cheap. And potentially, again, if you do believe that they are able to hit their kind of targets that they mentioned for 2025 and 2026, if you feel that is actually achievable, that would be a screaming buying opportunity, roughly around that $3 range. Of course, it would have to drop quite a lot for that to occur, but nonetheless, though, maybe that is where it does bounce off of, have a nice V shape, and then we can kind of have a secondary run. But nonetheless, given all the stuff that they've been putting out, even today's PR that they put on social media, it's good. FYI, goes to show that their actual platform works, but it's still not really a crazy catalyst that you need to stop what you're doing and buy Rezolve. So I feel like that's kind of the real issue with Rezolve. Nonetheless, still not on a lot of people's radars, so no articles whatsoever. Last article did come out was on the 27th, and that was just the PR that they put out saying that they're going to be participating in 2 conferences, the RBC and Roth MKM. So still not all that great, and no new analyst ratings. So last one was on the 13th, which was Roth MKM. So potentially we might get a reiteration from that one once they do participate in the actual conference. So I think at the end of the day, Rezolve is still going to do good just because of the broader sector, but their business and how they really presented themselves lately has not been really advantageous to draw in a lot of actual institutions to get in and to buy long term. So even though they did do PR saying that you have like massive amount of institutions buying, I think that was through like algorithmic trading and not really a lot of long investors. So let me know your thoughts on Rezolve. Are you buying? Are you selling? What's your general thoughts on Rezolve? And what do you think the next catalyst is going to be? And potentially, where would you buy Rezolve next at? So for those of you that have tuned in, I did sell 550 puts, so that does mean that I did, because it dipped below there, I did get obviously that exercise, so I did buy it at 550. Luckily enough, I did sell a bearish option, so I was able to kind of get away with like a 1.5% profit. So I was able to kind of achieve that, but still, I think if it does dip to that $3 range, that is where I will be a buyer at next. So let me know your viewpoint on that. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.